Are you truly living, or just letting life slip by? This isn't about fate or luck. It's about the choices we make, the excuses we tell ourselves, and the comfort that can silently betray our potential. Every second we hesitate, every opportunity we let pass, is a moment we'll regret tomorrow. Today, we're not dealing with pretty quotes or gentle encouragement. This is about raw, uncomfortable truths that can redefine who you are and who you're meant to become. We're going to dive into timeless wisdom that doesn't just motivate you, but forces you to act, to grow, with every passing second. You already have everything you need: the time, the resources. What's missing is the willingness to stop making excuses, because every moment you choose mediocrity is a moment lost forever. Are you ready to stop just surviving and start living with purpose? Then let's begin. Before we truly begin, let me share a story. Once there was a person, 29 years old, whose life, from the outside, seemed perfectly fine. They had a steady job, a cozy apartment, and friends for weekend outings. Their routine was predictable, devoid of surprises. Nothing serious, nothing truly exciting, and that was precisely the issue. Whenever someone asked if they were okay, the reply was always, "Yeah, all good." It wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the whole truth either. The truth was, their life had been on pause for years. They'd constantly talk about starting a business, but never launched anything. Dreams of moving abroad were just that, dreams, with no passport renewal even initiated. They spoke of writing, working out, learning new things, but their days were a monotonous loop. Wake up, check phone, go to work, return home tired, dinner, TV, bed. One day, they voiced a quiet observation. "I just feel like I'm not moving forward." A friend, with a casual wisdom, responded, "Maybe it's because you're not walking." The person laughed, but the words resonated deep within. The real issue wasn't a lack of time, it was a lack of direction, a lack of willpower to follow through on their desires. They'd always defer, saying, "Now's not the time, I need more clarity. Later, when I'm more ready." But ready never arrived, and deep down, they knew it. Then came a random Thursday. The phone rang. Their mother's voice, trembling, delivered the news. "Your dad had a heart attack." There was no dramatic movie scene, just a silent car ride, the rhythmic beeping of a hospital machine, and the devastating news no one ever wants to hear. Their father, a pillar of calm and consistency, was gone without a final goodbye. Their world didn't collapse, it simply stopped. In that moment, tears didn't come. They stood still, unsure what to do. Days later, while helping their mother clear out some belongings, they found a shoebox hidden in the back of a closet. Inside were old papers, photos, letters, and among them, a folded sheet with their father's handwritten list of things he wanted to do when he had time. Learn Italian, revisit the city where he met his wife, write a letter to his estranged brother. At the very bottom, a short, poignant paragraph. "Sometimes I feel like my child has something big inside, but it's fading because they're not moving. I hope they realize it before it's too late." They stared at those words, a broken mirror reflecting everything they'd avoided. A sharp pain pierced their chest. Not guilt, but raw reality. The weight of every second let slip, every excuse repeated as truth, pressed down. That night, sleep was impossible. They sat before their computer and typed a single, resolute sentence: "I won't let another second slip by." There was no grand plan, only a profound decision. They began small. 2 months later, they quit their job, not out of impulse, but out of a newfound conviction. They started writing every morning, enrolled in an online course, sold unnecessary possessions, and, not entirely sure what they'd do, traveled to Portugal alone. Not everything was smooth. There were mistakes, moments of feeling lost, days they wanted to surrender. But something fundamental had shifted. Now they were moving forward every day, fueled by fear and doubt, yet always in motion. A year later, when asked how they were doing, the answer was different. "I'm growing." It wasn't just a nice phrase. It was the truth. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Time is like a river made up of the events that happen and a violent current. For as soon as something is seen, it is swept by, and another comes in its place, and this too will be swept away." Our protagonist understood this, perhaps too late, but not too late to act. They realized life wouldn't pause and wait. Every second wasn't floating idly, waiting to be caught. No, the river swept it away, along with the unseized opportunities. Their greatest enemy wasn't a lack of time, talent, or luck. It was their own stillness, their ability to disguise passivity as caution and cowardice as logic. And you? How many seconds have you allowed the current to carry away? How many more times will you say, "I'll start tomorrow," knowing tomorrow may never come? This isn't meant to make you feel bad. It's here to awaken you. Because if you don't force yourself to grow, if you don't push yourself to get better, no one else will. And every second you don't use to move forward is a second the river sweeps away forever. If this resonates with you, consider supporting the channel by subscribing to Stoic Marble and becoming an exclusive member for unique benefits. Tell us in the comments, have you ever felt like you could give so much more, but something held you back? Or simply write, "A Stoic today, I choose to stop waiting and start moving forward second by second." Let that be your commitment to yourself. Stop believing your own excuses. My friend, your mind is a master of deception. So subtle you often don't even notice. It's not about grand lies, but the small, insidious ones you repeat daily without question. "I don't have time. I'm too tired. It's not the right moment." These phrases sound reasonable, don't they? But they are actually invisible shackles, keeping you precisely where you are. Each time you utter them, you're not describing your reality. You're justifying your stagnation. The worst part is, you present them as facts, as if you've conducted some objective analysis. But they're merely excuses masquerading as truth. It's like living in a prison with bars made of paper. At first glance, it looks like a solid structure, and you tell yourself you can't break free, that circumstances have trapped you, that there's no escape. But if you pause and truly look, you'll realize those bars are weightless. They're just thin pages, folded over years of fear, inscribed with lines like, "I'm not good at this," or "It's too late to start." And the saddest part? You constructed this invisible cell yourself, day by day, excuse after excuse. Initially, you knew it wasn't real, but with time, you grew accustomed to its presence, to moving within its confines, to not pushing back, to simply assuming that was the extent of your capability. Epictetus, centuries ago, saw this trap clearly. He observed, "It's not things that disturb us, but our opinion about them." What truly holds you back isn't the difficulty itself. It's the story you construct about it. Your excuses don't describe the world, they describe your comfortable version of it. And if you continue to treat them as laws, you will remain in the prison you built with your own hands. Imagine this. You want to start waking up early, knowing it will bring more focus, energy, and structure to your day. But you declare, "No, I'm just not a morning person, repeating it like a preordained destiny, as if it's etched into your DNA. Yet, you stay up until 2 a.m. watching videos you won't even remember. So, can you really not get up early? Or do you simply not want to endure the discomfort of change? And don't worry, you're not alone in this. Have you heard of mental friction? Dan Coe explains it brilliantly. Your mind, sensing that something will pull you from the familiar, invents reasons not to act. These aren't just random excuses, they're defense mechanisms. Your brain safeguards you from change because it perceives anything new as a threat. So instead of admitting, this is uncomfortable, it tells you, this isn't for you. And that's where the self-deception truly begins. Dan suggests something incredibly simple. Catch yourself the exact moment you begin to justify. That split second when you think, I'll do it later, I can't today, maybe tomorrow. That's the critical juncture. If you let it pass, you fall back into the old cycle. But if you intercept it, you can break free. So, tell me, will you continue to believe the same old stories? Or will you force yourself to grow, second by second, even if it's uncomfortable? Because if you truly want to move forward, you must break that thought pattern. To help you do that, here are 3 simple things you can start today. First, grab a piece of paper and write down your most common excuses, one by one, without filters. Next to each, write what a Stoic would reply. For instance, if your excuse is, I'm tired, write, then work slower, but don't stop. Or, if it's, I don't have time, add, make space, prioritize. Time exists. You're just not where you need to be. Second, record yourself saying your excuses out loud, but in an exaggerated, theatrical voice. Then play it back. You'll be amazed at how ridiculous it sounds. Gaining that distance reveals you're not stuck. You're simply trapped in a script. And third, every time you catch yourself on the verge of an excuse, take one micro-action. Just one. One push-up, one quick message. Open that file you've been avoiding for weeks. You don't have to do everything, but you must do something. Because action, no matter how small, possesses more power than the most elaborate excuse. I'll leave you with this thought. What if the excuse isn't real? What if you are the silent saboteur of your own life? Every time you repeat an excuse, you choose not to grow. And remember, my friend, life won't wait. Next time your mind whispers, you can't, answer as Seneca would. While you hesitate, life passes. And second by second, it slips away. Small steps change your life. Imagine waking up one morning, walking to your front door, and finding a giant boulder blocking the way. A massive rock, as if the universe itself is telling you, you can't move forward. You stare at it, try to push it. Nothing. You attempt to move it aside. Impossible. Days turn into weeks, and it remains. Until one day, almost out of sheer boredom, you pick up a small hammer. You hit it. Just once. Nothing happens. But the next day, you hit it again and again. Every day, just one strike. It doesn't seem like much. Yet, after a week, a crack appears. After a month, the crack spreads. And if you keep hitting it, one day, the rock shatters. Finally, you can step outside. That's how true growth works. Not with grand, heroic pushes or fleeting, Monday motivation. It happens with daily hammer strikes, with decisions so simple they seem insignificant, even pointless. But they are not. Marcus Aurelius put it plainly. Don't waste what's left of your life wondering how to live it. Just live. And living isn't merely existing. It means moving forward, even if it's just a millimeter a day, even if no one applauds, even if it feels like nothing is changing, because beneath the surface, everything is. Today, you could make a tiny but powerful decision. Drink one more glass of water. Take a 10-minute walk without your phone. Say no to someone without feeling a pang of guilt. These aren't revolutionary acts, but they are progress. And every small step you take, every single one, is a way of forcing yourself to grow, second by second, even if the grand results haven't materialized yet. Most people resist change because they believe it demands a monumental overhaul, a life transformed with fireworks and fanfare. But no, you simply need to improve by 1% every day, just that. Do you know what that means? Over a year, you'd be 37% better than your current self. 37%. And you don't need some earth-shattering revelation. You just need repetition. This isn't about fleeting motivation. It's about building a consistent system. If you doubt this, let me tell you about someone who made it happen, without excuses. A fashion designer in Sri Lanka lost their sight in a terrorist attack. In a single second, their world irrevocably changed. What did they do? What they could. They learned Braille, restructured their work process, and began to visualize in their mind what they once saw with their eyes. Second by second, they adapted and rebuilt their life, step by painful step. Today, they are recognized as the first blind fashion designer in their country, and they achieved this not through magic or miracles, but through small, steady decisions with daily hammer strikes. Let me ask you something, my friend. Are you waiting for a grand transformation, yet you still haven't made your bed? Are you still ignoring that email you've been avoiding for weeks? Still haven't put away the clothes tossed on that chair 3 days ago? Because change doesn't begin with buying a course or making a huge, sweeping promise. It starts when you finally do the small things you're too embarrassed to admit you're still not doing. What truly works is having a system that supports you. Start a habit tracker, but not for 10 things, just 3, the most important ones. Track even when you miss a day. It's not about control, it's about awareness. It's about honestly seeing, without excuses, whether you're moving forward, even if just a little. Because when you look honestly, you realize you don't need to change everything. You just need to change something every day. And remember, never underestimate the power of normal days. Not the grand accomplishments, but the mundane ones, the ones that feel repetitive, because those are the invisible bricks forming the foundation of the life you dream about. The person who expects every day to be exciting ends up stuck, waiting, while everyone else builds. My friend, next time you declare, "I want to change my life," don't gaze up at the sky searching for signs. Look at your feet. What single step are you taking today? Right here, right now. And if you want this to be the moment everything shifts, write it in the comments. Say it. Sometimes simply putting it into words is your first act of courage. And remember, the Stoic Marble community is here to walk with you. Get out of that comfort zone. Now, tell me something deeply personal. How long has it been since you did something that genuinely made you uncomfortable? When was the last time you truly stepped outside your routine without having every detail under perfect control? Do you realize that often, in the name of rest, you're simply choosing to remain stuck? Yes, comfort is a clever illusion. At first, it feels like a precious gift. Peace, security, stability. But over time, if you linger too long, it transforms into a heavy anchor. Comfort, my friend, is frequently not rest. It's resignation, cleverly disguised. Picture a child standing inside, face pressed against the window pane. Outside, the sun shines brightly. A park beckons. Other children laugh, run, stumble, and rise again. But he stays put. He won't go out because he's afraid. Scared to get dirty, to lose, to not know how to play. And you, watching from the outside, what would you do? Would you tell him to stay safe indoors, or would you encourage him to venture out? Exactly. So come on, you too, force yourself to move, even if your steps are clumsy and unsure. Because if you don't work on yourself right now, in this exact moment, no one else is going to do it for you. Seneca stated it with piercing clarity. Difficulty strengthens the mind, as labor strengthens the body. And that necessary difficulty doesn't reside on your couch. It lives out there, in what you can't control, in what you're embarrassed to try. Can you imagine Seneca, in his Roman robe, lounging at home thinking, "Hey, maybe I'll write something tomorrow"? Not a chance. In fact, he deliberately practiced discomfort. He slept on the floor, wore simple clothes, walked the streets, enduring contempt. Why? Because he knew the soul grows stronger when it confronts discomfort. He understood that if you don't actively force yourself to become stronger, life will eventually break you. But hey, you don't have to rewind to the 1st century. Just look at yourself now. You've said it 1,000 times. You want to live in another country, but you keep telling yourself it's not the right time, that you need to save more, that you need someone to go with you. But no, what you need is to move, because comfort will always present 1,000 excuses. Courage only needs one. If this resonates, I highly recommend listening to Stephen Bartlett's podcast, The Diary of a CEO. He constantly explores this very topic. He states, "Real success begins when you feel uncomfortable," and he perfectly summarizes it. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. He is absolutely right. If you're too comfortable, it's because you've gone too long without growing. So are you ready to take action? Here are some simple tips to help you step out of your comfort zone without triggering a panic attack. First, if something makes you uncomfortable, do the mini version of it. Scared to call someone? Don't call. Send a voice note instead. Stage fright? Don't sign up for stand-up comedy. Make a 30-second reel. Discomfort is conquered in small bites, not all at once. Also, swap out a daily routine for something you've never done. Walk down a different street. Buy a product you've never tried. Sit in a different spot in your living room. It sounds silly, but your brain interprets these small changes as signs of progress, and that builds confidence. And finally, try this powerful exercise. Write the phrase, "What am I avoiding out of fear?" on a sheet of paper and answer it. No filters, no justifications. Just answer honestly. Because sometimes what's truly blocking you isn't the actual difficulty. It's simply your unwillingness to admit that you're running away. Now take a moment and reflect. If today were your last chance at this opportunity, would you still choose comfort? Before you answer, remember Seneca's timeless wisdom. We don't dare to do many things because they're difficult, but they're difficult because we don't dare. So take that step, even if your legs are trembling. Because forcing yourself to be better, second by second, doesn't mean you're fearless. It means you're choosing to move forward in spite of that fear. And that, my friend, is what makes all the difference. Learn to fail with purpose. Sometimes, we mistakenly believe that failure means we're simply not good enough. But let me share a story that illustrates how, when you embrace failure with purpose, every mistake can actually bring you closer to the life you truly envision. For 15 relentless years, a man secluded himself in his workshop every single day, dedicating himself to one singular idea. He wasn't a marred genius or a celebrated inventor, just a stubborn individual utterly committed to creating a bagless vacuum cleaner. Sounds simple, right? It was anything but. He tried once, failed, tried again, failed, and again, and again, and again. We're not talking 5 attempts or 20. We're talking over 5,000 failed prototypes. More than 5,000 times he got it wrong, tweaked something, started over, and failed yet again. Anyone else would have quit. But he didn't. Why? Because he grasped something most of us struggle with, that every failed attempt wasn't a defeat. It was invaluable information. He didn't despair. I'm useless. He simply concluded, this isn't the way. And that, even when it stings, is genuine progress. That man was James Dyson, and thanks to every single one of those mistakes, millions of people worldwide now utilize his innovative products. None of it would exist if he had interpreted failure as a signal to stop. Instead, he understood what Marcus Aurelius had penned centuries prior. What stands in the way becomes the way. And Dyson lived that truth. The failure wasn't an obstacle, it was the very direction. It was the map that showed him both where to go and, crucially, where not to. That is the essence of failing with purpose. Not falling just for the sake of it, but using each stumble as a powerful lever to propel yourself forward, smarter and stronger. Now, envision yourself. You're presenting an idea in a meeting before all your bosses. You've prepared for days. Sleep has been elusive. You've rehearsed every word, adjusted the slides 20 times. The moment arrives. You begin speaking, your hands clammy with sweat. You give it your absolute best shot. You finish, thinking, I think that went well. But then, silence. That uncomfortable kind of silence. They look at you, say, thank you. Then someone says, it has potential, but it's not really on target. It doesn't solve what we need. Another adds, maybe we can explore other directions, but this one doesn't quite fit. And just like that, without yelling or laughter, your idea falls flat. You smile, nod, utter a polite, thanks for the feedback. But inside, you shrink. You leave feeling foolish. Thoughts creep in. Maybe you're not as capable as you imagined. Maybe it was ridiculous to even try. Maybe you shouldn't speak up again. Do you know why you think that? Joe Hudson explains it clearly. The thing that holds us back the most isn't the fear of failure. It's the fear of failing in front of others, of being seen falling, of looking weak. But do you know what he suggests? Start seeing failure as a trainable skill, literally. Fail, review, learn, adjust. Like in sports, like in life. Because if you never fail, it's because you're not truly trying. And now you're probably wondering, how do I actually do that? Well, this might feel challenging at first, but trust me, it works. Write down your last failure, but don't dramatize it. Write it like a coach reviewing a game. What did you do well? What could you improve? What would you repeat? By articulating it, you distance yourself from your ego and move closer to growth. You can also create a failure museum, a folder, a notebook, a note on your phone, somewhere to document your missteps. And next to each one, record what you learned from it. You know why? Because with time, when you reread them, you'll clearly see that the person you were wasn't a mess. They were building, and every mistake was a brick in that construction. Above all, remember this crucial rule. Every time you fail, failure doesn't define you. Staying stuck does. The mistake is an inherent part of the path. The choice to never move again, that's what truly traps you. Failure, my friend, is like breaking a bone. It hurts. It forces you to stop. It throws you off balance. But if you recover properly, that bone heals stronger than before. That's how character is forged. That's how courage is built. Force yourself to rise with greater intention, more clarity, and renewed fire. Because if you fail with purpose, you're never starting from scratch. You're always starting from experience. And that's where people truly begin to transform their lives. Your routine is your future. You constantly say you want to change your life, yet you continue to do the exact same thing every single day. Then listen very closely. What you do today isn't merely a habit. It's a silent, unwavering prediction of your future. Every repeated action, every automatic decision is shaping the path you're heading down. And no, not 20 years from now. 1 year, 5, 10. Because your routine, my friend, is not neutral. It's a precise formula. And if you follow the same one daily, then you already know exactly where it's taking you. Really think about it. Do you truly like what you're building? Because let me warn you, your dream life isn't born from intentions alone. It's painstakingly built by forcing yourself to be better every single second of your life. Think of it like this. Your routine is a recipe. If you're consistently throwing in mediocre ingredients, don't expect a gourmet result at the end. If, from the moment you wake up until you go to bed, you're merely repeating yesterday's actions, without intention, without direction, without awareness, then no, you shouldn't be surprised when nothing changes. As Seneca wisely said, it's not that we have little time, but that we waste a lot of it. And we don't waste it on grand, important endeavors. We waste it on things that lead us nowhere. This happened to me. I reached a point where I realized I wasn't progressing. I felt like I was doing a tremendous amount, but building nothing substantial. And that's when I stumbled upon Andrew Huberman, a neuroscientist who eloquently explains how the first hours of your day profoundly shape your brain's function for the rest of it. These aren't just theories. He explains it through scientific principles. If you expose yourself to natural light in the morning, move your body, and engage in something without a screen, you regulate your dopamine, your focus, and your energy more effectively. That insight utterly transformed my routine. I started with something incredibly small, 5 minutes of quiet breathing before even glancing at my phone. That's it. And that alone made a significant difference, because I stopped reacting to the world and began consciously creating my own. Yes, it's a tiny thing, but when a small act is performed with intention and repeated daily, it paves an entirely new path. I'm sure you've experienced this too. You wake up, not entirely sure what you're doing, and within 2 minutes, you're glued to your notifications. You don't even remember why you opened Instagram, but 10 minutes have already vanished. You rush through breakfast, not thinking, not nourishing yourself, just filling up. You tell yourself, today I start, every single day. And that today never arrives, because deep down, you're not designing your routine. You're merely repeating the one you've always had. So, if you truly want to build something different, why not begin with your routine? Because that's where every decision is made. Every second counts. You know it. So here's what you can do. First, pick one single action you'll commit to doing every day before touching your phone. Just one. and it must be solely for you. Reading 2 pages, deep breathing, journaling how you feel. It doesn't need to be epic. It just needs to be yours. Second, design a clear starting point for your day. Something that doesn't depend on how you feel, but unequivocally tells your body, we're in motion. Perhaps it's a silent shower, calmly preparing your breakfast, or a 5-minute walk. What matters is that the action signals the day has truly begun. And try this, the calendar test. Look at your current routine and honestly ask yourself, is this taking me where I wanted to go, or is it just keeping me busy? Because doing a lot doesn't necessarily mean you're progressing, and you're here because you know you're capable of more, because you desire a life that doesn't merely repeat itself, but one that builds you up. Now, let me ask you this. What if someone were observing your every move today, taking meticulous notes to transform them into your biography? Would you be proud of the routine you're writing? Because that is your real life. And yes, you can start rewriting it today. All you need is a pen, and that pen is your decisions, second by second, action by action. And if you already know what that first change will be, share it in the comments below. Your idea might just be the spark for someone else who also wants to begin, but hasn't quite dared yet. This community is here to support you. Write it and make it count. Don't believe everything you think. My friend, I know the truth. Sometimes the true enemy isn't external. It resides within. It's in your head, in those insidious voices that repeat the same narrative every single day, as if mere repetition makes it true. You can't. You're not enough. You'll never make it. And the most chilling part, they speak in your own voice. But listen closely. Just because you think it doesn't mean it's true. Your mind is many things, but realistic. Not always. Sometimes it's wildly creative, utterly chaotic, intensely dramatic. It's like having a pessimistic parrot perched on your shoulder, squawking all day long. You can't do it. You're not good enough. You're going to fail. And of course, hearing it so often, you eventually believe it. But that parrot knows nothing. It simply regurgitates what it's heard for years. What you were told, what you assumed, what you believed without a single question. And if you don't question it, it will utterly control your life. You've likely heard stories of individuals born without arms or legs. Imagine navigating your teenage years with such a reality when all you crave is to fit in. Their minds repeatedly told them their lives were meaningless, that no one would love them, that they'd never achieve independence. They even contemplated ending their lives. But one day, they made a different choice, to fundamentally alter their perception of their situation. Today, one such individual is a global speaker, has authored books, and has a loving family with 4 children. In an interview, they profoundly stated, "When you can't change your situation, change how you see it." And that, precisely, is what we achieve when we stop believing every thought that enters our mind. We separate what we feel from who we fundamentally are, what we hear from what we consciously choose. Psychology strongly supports this. Dr. Ethan Kross, author of Chatter, The Voice in Our Head, has extensively studied how our negative inner voice holds us back far more than any real external obstacle. He proposes a simple, yet incredibly powerful technique: mental distancing. What is it? Talk to yourself in the third person. Instead of thinking, "I can't handle this," you ask, "How is your name going to deal with this?" It sounds peculiar at first, but it genuinely works. Because when you address yourself as if you're someone else, you significantly reduce the emotional weight of your thoughts. You create a crucial distance, and you stop melting into fear. So, if you truly want to apply Ethan Kross's insights, begin by changing that common phrase so many people repeat without thinking. That's just how I am. Transform it into something far more honest. Sometimes I think this way, but I don't have to act on it. Because saying, "I'm insecure," is vastly different from saying, "Sometimes I have insecure thoughts." One locks you in, the other grants you space. Space to move, to grow, to respond differently, even when your mind insists you remain the same. Here's another effective technique. When a negative thought emerges, answer it as you would your best friend if they confided that very thought to you. Would you believe them? Or would you encourage them to keep going, not give up, to remember their inherent worth? Then, apply that same compassion to yourself. Talk back with empathy, not fear. But don't imagine this is a one-time fix. It's daily training, a constant practice. Because your mind won't quiet on its own. You must train it, just as you train a muscle you wish to strengthen. Thoughts are like clouds. They can be heavy, dark, moving swiftly, or simply lingering. But they are not the sky. You are the sky, and you remain, even when everything is cloudy. Epictetus perfectly understood this. He couldn't control what appeared in his mind, but he could choose whether to let it control him. Do the same. Don't identify with the storm. Let it pass. Obey the plan, not the laziness. My friend, how many times have you heard that laziness will get you nowhere? And yet, each time, you probably think, yeah, I know. And then you stay exactly where you are, once again, waiting for that perfect moment to act. As if one day, you'll magically awaken, filled with an unstoppable energy that transforms everything. But no, that's simply not going to happen. Because if you're waiting to feel like it before doing what you know you need to do, you're going to be waiting your entire life. Let me tell you something. There's a scene in a film I will never forget. Not for the blood, the yelling, or the tension, but for the profound truth it represents. The main character sits alone in front of his drum set. He could go home. No one is watching him. No one is pushing him. But he stays. He repeats the same difficult exercise over and over for hours. He messes up, starts again, feels immense frustration, but he doesn't quit because he understood a critical truth. If you only practice when you feel motivated, you'll never get very far. He doesn't obey his mood. He obeys the plan. And you don't need to be a musician to grasp this. You just need to ask yourself, how many times have you skipped what truly matters just because you didn't feel like it? How many times have you betrayed your larger goal for 5 more minutes in bed? He didn't do it because he was inherently strong. He did it because he was consistent, because he chose to act like the professional he aspired to be long before he felt like one. And if you haven't seen the movie, I highly recommend it. But don't watch it merely as a story about music. Watch it as a mirror, one that reflects a truth we often desperately avoid. Your results don't depend on your talent. They depend on what you do when no one is watching, when no one is applauding. I'm sure this resonates with you. You set your alarm for 7 a.m., intending to go for a run. But when it rings, your mind immediately launches its political campaign to convince you, better tomorrow. It promises that if you rest today, you'll have more energy tomorrow. Spoiler alert. Tomorrow, it will deliver the exact same speech. Or you might think, I won't train today, but I'll go twice as hard tomorrow. And you already know how that story ends. If you're lucky, watching reels of people who actually did go. When that happens, Imagine Marcus Aurelius standing beside you in that moment. What would he do? Would he allow laziness to triumph? He who slept only a few hours so he could write his meditations before commencing his duties as emperor, who never allowed power or exhaustion to sway him from his core principles. Marcus Aurelius didn't act when he felt like it. He acted because he had a duty, because he understood that if you let your mood dictate your actions, you become its slave. And I'm not the only one asserting this. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, adamantly insists that motivation is overrated. What truly matters is having a clear system, a robust structure that precisely tells you what to do and when to do it. And then you simply do it. Not think about it, not debate it, not delay it. Just execute. He calls this the silent identity, acting like the person you aspire to become, even if you don't yet feel like that person, because habit builds character, not the other way around. So, if you genuinely want to stop obeying your laziness and start obeying your plan, here are a few things that can profoundly help. First, grab a pen and paper and meticulously design your routine. Do it as if you're an elite athlete, seriously. What time will you wake up? What is the very first thing you'll do? What ritual will mark the beginning of your day? When the plan is explicitly written out, it becomes far easier to follow without relying on how you feel in the moment. Leave no room for mental debate. Give your future self clear, actionable orders. Second, set an alarm with a personalized message. But don't just write. Wake up. Write. Don't ask, just do it. Let your most stoic self speak to you when your lazy self begins its usual persuasive speech. And also, visualize your day like a staircase. Every single thing you do, even the tiniest action, takes you up one step. But if you choose to remain on the couch doing nothing, you're not simply resting, you're sliding backwards, and you know it deep down. I understand there will be days when you truly don't feel like it. But you don't need to feel like it. What you need is a solid, unwavering decision. Because when you obey your discipline and not your laziness, you are actively building the life your future self will undoubtedly thank you for. So tell me, my friend, which voice will you obey tomorrow morning when you wake up? The one that whispers cunning excuses, or the one that is relentlessly pushing you toward a stronger, more capable version of yourself? Who are you comparing yourself to? Tap, tap, tap. Every morning, the rhythmic sound of the deer's hooves echoed across the stones by the lake. He was swift, graceful, agile. He loved seeing his reflection in the water, feeling strong, moving effortlessly through the trees. But everything changed the day he noticed a chameleon. The tiny reptile, perched on a rock, shifted colors with magical ease. Green, gray, brown. It adapted to everything. The deer watched, and a thought crept in. All I can do is run. He can transform. I'm useless. From that day forward, every time he saw another animal, he felt diminished. The beaver constructed impressive dams. The owl possessed boundless knowledge. The fox was incredibly clever. The deer stopped running. He stopped going to the lake, stopped looking at himself, until one day the chameleon approached him and asked, "Aren't you running through the forest anymore?" And the deer, head bowed, responded, "What for? You all have such unique gifts. All I have are legs." And then the chameleon, without changing a single color, delivered a profound truth. You're the only one who stopped doing what he loves. Not because you're worthless, but because you spent your life looking around instead of remembering who you already were. From that moment on, The deer stopped looking outward and started running again. Now, reflect on yourself. How many times have you held yourself back simply because, when you looked around, you convinced yourself you weren't enough? How many times did you see someone else moving forward and think, why should I even bother trying? The most destructive aspect of comparison isn't that it makes you feel small, it's that it makes you forget who you truly are, and you cease to move. Seneca had already made this painfully clear. True happiness comes from self-sufficiency. Of course, that sounds wonderful in a book, but it's incredibly difficult to live when you open social media. You see someone traveling, smiling, achieving great success. And you, in your pajamas with a cold cup of coffee, conclude that you must be doing something terribly wrong. But you don't see their bad days. You don't see their doubts. You don't see the immense effort they put in. You are comparing your entire, messy life to their perfectly curated best angle and ideal lighting. Did you know that comparing yourself to others can actually kill your motivation, even if you're doing well? It sounds strange, but it's scientifically proven. Psychologist Thomas Musweiler from the University of Cologne studied this phenomenon and discovered something fascinating. When you compare yourself to someone far beyond your current reality, your drive completely shuts down. But when you compare yourself to your own past self, your motivation skyrockets. The key: look at you, but the earlier version. Not the person next to you, not the one online. You, because that is a worthy rival. So, if you genuinely want to stop sabotaging your progress with useless comparisons, here are some practical things you can try. Start a journal of personal wins. They don't have to be epic achievements. Maybe today you went for a walk, finished a challenging book, or said no to something you genuinely didn't want to do. Write it down. Keep track. Don't allow yourself to forget all the incredible things you are achieving. And if you're more visually oriented, take pictures. If you're training, document your progress. Want to read more? Create a chart and track how many books you've completed this year. It's not about proving anything to anyone else. It's about reminding yourself that you are already moving forward. Also, set goals that truly originate from you, not ones you've simply picked up online. Do you genuinely desire to move to another city? Or do you just believe you should because everyone else seems happy traveling? Are you genuinely excited to launch your own business? Or is it merely another trendy goal? Align your goals with your deepest values, not with the distracting noise around you. Another crucial step: set a firm limit on your time spent online. Not as a punishment, but as a profound act of self-protection. And with the precious time you reclaim, actively use it to build yourself. Learn something new, go for a walk, have a meaningful conversation without a screen in sight. Because no one truly grows while they're busy comparing themselves to others. You grow when you act. My friend, forcing yourself to be better every second isn't about competing with anyone else. It's about halting the comparisons and reclaiming your own authentic voice. The one you perhaps lost amidst likes, motivational videos, and the achievements of others. So next time you feel small because you gazed at someone else, immediately change direction. Look inward, then look back at your past self, and then keep moving forward. Because the only thing that genuinely matters is this: are you a little better today than you were yesterday? If the answer is yes, then you are winning, and you are building something no one can ever take from you. Your own unique path. Your environment lifts you or drowns you. My friend, I'm going to ask you a difficult question. Have you ever truly paused to consider who you spend the most time with? who you talk to every single day, who you listen to, what phrases you hear constantly echoing around you. Because if you reflect, the voices in your immediate environment can either be powerful fuel or heavy mud. The people you share your daily life with are never neutral. They either lift you up or they pull you down. And the most insidious part, most of the time, you don't even notice it, because you become accustomed to it, to the complaints, to the ingrained pessimism, to the ingrained better not risk it mentality. And without even realizing it, you slowly start extinguishing your own inner fire just to fit in. Consider the story of a young boy who grew up surrounded by the deafening sounds of explosions, the crumbling ruins of buildings, and constant fear. In a place where many children played at dodging bombs, he chose to play at training. His family had no luxuries, no stability, but they possessed something far more valuable, a small, incredibly strong circle that reminded him every single day that he could become someone great if he worked like a true professional. And he did. Today, he is one of the top young talents in Asian football. When asked how he managed to escape that environment, he stated it clearly. "My friends didn't play with bombs. They played at training like professionals do." Do you see it? It wasn't sheer luck. It was his environment that propelled him forward. That is the profound impact of a circle of influence. What surrounds you sticks to you, my friend. Studies consistently show that your closest environment influences at least 70% of your personal or professional success. And that's not magic, it's simply exposure. Picture yourself as a hot air balloon. Inside, you possess the fire, the motivation, the energy to soar. But if you are weighed down with heavy sandbags, no matter how desperately you wish to fly, you simply won't lift off. Your environment represents those sandbags. And if you don't release the ones that are too heavy, the ones that hold you back, the ones that keep you grounded, you will never truly rise. I'm certain this has happened to you. You decide to start eating healthier, and suddenly, everyone around you seems to turn against you. Come on, one day won't hurt. You used to be more fun. You're getting boring. They laugh, they tempt you, they subtly hold you back. And of course, to maintain peace, you give in. But at what profound cost? At the cost of your own progress. Because in your effort not to make others uncomfortable, you ultimately end up stuck yourself. If you've made it this far, it's because you genuinely desire to force yourself to be better every second. So now is the time to take an honest, unflinching look at what and who surrounds you. First, conduct an energy scan. Think of the 3 people you interact with most frequently during the week. Do they inspire you or drain your energy? Do they encourage your growth or make you feel like you're overreacting every time you attempt something new? And don't worry, this isn't about abruptly cutting people out of your life, but it is about adjusting how much time and energy you allocate to them. Perhaps you can't avoid seeing them entirely, but you can absolutely decide how much you listen, and more importantly, who holds influence over your crucial decisions. And here's something even more critical. Your environment isn't just people. It also encompasses the content you consume, what you watch, what you listen to, what you read. Are you actively surrounding yourself with videos that push you, books that challenge your thinking, podcasts that expand your mind? Or is it simply noise, endless memes, and unnecessary drama? Consciously feed your environment, because in the end, that is precisely what feeds you. Remember what Seneca wisely advised: avoid the company of those who do not better you. And he didn't say that to sound superior or aloof. He said it because he profoundly understood that the soul is shaped by imitation, that what you observe every single day gradually becomes a part of you. Now, I want to hear from you. Who is surrounding you in your life right now? Is your environment propelling you forward or holding you back? Share it in the comments. Perhaps articulating it will help you see things with greater clarity. And maybe, just maybe, it will inspire someone else to take a hard, honest look at their own circle. Because sometimes, all it takes is reading a story like yours to realize it's time to shed some unnecessary weight. And stay tuned, because what comes next is arguably the most vital part of all. Because there's absolutely no point in surrounding yourself with amazing people, building a rock-solid routine, or conquering your excuses if you neglect this final piece. This is where it all truly becomes real, where you make the definitive decision whether you're going to grow every second or remain indefinitely waiting. Celebrate, breathe, and keep going. Sometimes, my friend, we become so utterly obsessed with constantly moving forward that we completely forget why we even started in the first place. You diligently check off tasks, relentlessly pursue goals, and rigidly adhere to routines, all without realizing you're living like a mere machine. No breaks, no celebrations, no moments to simply breathe. And then one day, you find yourself utterly exhausted, wondering why it's suddenly so incredibly difficult to keep going. The answer is deceptively simple. Because you never gave yourself permission to truly enjoy what you've already achieved. Marcus Aurelius wrote it powerfully. The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing, in that it demands being ready and firm against the unexpected. But even a skilled fighter needs to pause, needs time to heal, to savor a hard-won victory, no matter how small. Living isn't about relentlessly throwing punches without any respite. You are absolutely allowed to smile. And yes, you are allowed to stop. That's exactly what happened to me when I first embarked on this project. I was so intensely focused on chasing the next goal that I didn't even acknowledge what I'd already accomplished. I was publishing content, working tirelessly, improving non-stop, until one day, my partner looked at me with genuine concern and asked, "What's the point of trying so hard if you never feel any joy?" And that hit me like a bucket of icy water, because they were absolutely right. I was so fixated on the next step that I never once celebrated the countless steps I had already taken. And this isn't just about fleeting emotions. It's firmly backed by science. Dr. Kristin Neff, one of the world's leading researchers on self-compassion, has definitively shown that people who celebrate their small wins and treat themselves with kindness are far more consistent in their progress than those who simply relentlessly pressure themselves. Why? Because self-compassion is not a weakness. It is potent emotional fuel. It's precisely what helps you get up every single day without completely falling apart internally. Let me give you a simple, relatable example. Let's say you've managed to wake up early and stick to your morning routine for 5 straight days. Yes, that same routine we meticulously helped you build step by step a few sections back. Something that once felt utterly impossible. But instead of acknowledging this significant accomplishment, you dismiss it, saying, "Whatever, it's just what I'm supposed to do." And just like that, the positive impact vanishes. The motivation subtly fades, as if your effort didn't warrant a single clap, as if becoming better every second only matters if it transforms into something monumental. So today, I want to offer you something entirely different. A small, yet powerful challenge. At the end of each week, make a concise list of 3 things you did exceptionally well. They don't need to be grand achievements. Perhaps you consistently maintained your water intake. You bravely had that difficult conversation you'd been avoiding. You dedicated 10 more minutes to that new habit you're striving to build. Write them down, read them aloud, and powerfully remind yourself that you are actively moving forward. Also try this. Adopt a closing word for your day. A simple, meaningful ritual. As you turn off the light, quietly say something like, "Today I made progress," or "Today I gave it my all." It might sound silly, but it imbues the end of your day with profound purpose. It gently reminds you that you are steadfastly on your chosen path. And crucially, give yourself something. Yes, seriously. A tangible reward for successfully completing a week of disciplined effort. It doesn't need to be extravagant. Maybe a peaceful walk by yourself, a meal you truly savor, an afternoon completely free of pressure. Something your mind concretely links to. I earned this because I stayed consistent. That emotional anchor is absolutely key if you want to sustain your new routine for the long term. Because no, you are not a machine. You are a magnificent work in progress, and every single brick you lay counts. But if you never celebrate what you're diligently building, you'll never truly feel like you're living in your own self-made home. So celebrate, breathe deeply, and then, with renewed purpose, keep going. Because forcing yourself to be better every second isn't about crushing yourself under relentless pressure. It's about moving forward with profound awareness, knowing that yes, you are pushing yourself, but you are also gratefully acknowledging your incredible effort. That it's not just about reaching the ultimate goal, but about honoring every step of the process. So today, right now, pause. Look at yourself, truly look, and give yourself all the credit you wholeheartedly deserve, because you are doing well. And there is still so much more left to build. Stopping the hesitation, seizing control, and bravely forcing yourself to grow every single second. That, my friend, is the true revolution. You don't need some magical, elusive motivation. You need courageous, unwavering decisions. Every small act of discipline is a vital brick in your foundation. Every excuse you shatter is a new door that swings open before you. You are not here to live on pause. You are here to build yourself, to relentlessly move forward, even when no one else is watching. Because the life you dream of doesn't just arrive all at once in a grand explosion. It is painstakingly earned, second by precious second, every single time you choose not to give up. If you've made it this far, show your commitment in the comments. I don't stop, I get better every second. That way, I'll know who the true Stoic warriors are, who stayed until the very end. Don't forget to subscribe to Stoic Marble, hit that notification bell, and give this video a like so you never miss out on what's coming next. I also invite you to explore our curated playlist, which you'll see on your screen now. It's packed with transformative ideas, inspiring stories, and practical advice to help you navigate life with greater wisdom and unwavering confidence. Click it, and let's continue moving forward together, strengthening our inner Stoic. Until next time.